You turn my morning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes every. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing.
Good morning, rooted men. Something about your love changes everything. Man, someday we need to do a devotion on that. It's very repetitive, but it's so beautiful that you think about it, and it's what God's calling us to do. We're changing. We're becoming more like Him, not like Him, more like Him. Let's see. Oh my goodness, look at this. We have so many people on here this morning. There's a lot of pressure. Pastor Tom, good morning. And this here is Mr. Gooch. Good morning, Ken. Chris Connolly, it's nice to see you here. And Chuck B. Chuck, it's awesome to see you here. And one more, and I believe that is, I know, this is Bert Reggiani. How cool is that? This morning's scripture is from Proverbs 6:30 through 35. And it's Solomon's second part of his warning against adultery. And yesterday, Tom talked about it, and there was the one verse in there, and I thought, to me, it was the perfect way to visualize what adultery does to the body. And it made me chuckle a little bit, because I don't think there's a man in the room that wouldn't connect to it. Let's see. Solomon asked, can a man scoop fire into his lap? And I thought, that says it right there. That's nothing else. He could have stopped right there and had made his point. And it made me laugh a little bit, and I love it. Today we're going to talk about verses 30 through 35. And let's jump right in there. Let's see if I can pull it up. Sometimes I actually can do this stuff without causing a huge delay. It says, please do not, people do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his hunger when he is starving. Yet if he is caught, he must pay sevenfold, though it costs him all the wealth of his house. Stop it for a second, because he's making a huge distinction between two different types of sin. A thief that steals to feed his stomach. He says it's okay. He doesn't say that it's okay. But he says that people will be able to understand, maybe, and not despise him because of it. They will punish him nonetheless, even if it means taking his entire house. But they don't, there's just a difference, because we're understanding that we need food to eat. We can't survive without it. And it's still a sin, and it will cost you dearly, but people won't despise you because of it. Then he says, but a man who commits adultery has no sense. Whoever does so destroys himself. Blows and disgrace are his lot, and his shame will be wiped away. For jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he will show no mercy when he takes revenge. He will not accept any compensation. He will refuse a bribe, however great it is. Well, the second one seems a little harsh, doesn't it? I mean, we understand it. He's not saying God won't forgive it, and but he's saying that the husband won't forget it. In 32 and 33, he talks about the lack of judgment shown by the adulterer, because he actually destroys himself. He doesn't do it because he's hungry. He doesn't do it because he has to. It's a human lack of discretion or judgment. It's judgment. There's a good one. You can't judge for yourself. You don't look at the future, you're looking at the present. You're caught up in what's going on right in front of you. And then in the end, the last two verses, he lays a little further with telling exactly how the husband is going to react, how the husband won't forgive him, and he won't hold his sin. He won't forgive it no matter what the guy does. I mean, that guy cannot change how it affects him. His sin is not like stealing bread. This man loses so much. He loses his trust of fellow men. Listen, you're not going to want that guy hanging around your wife. You're not going to want that guy hanging around whoever you're courting or dating at the time. He's poison to other men. He breaks his relationship with God. He's telling God, yeah, I love you, but I make a mistake. And he continues to make the mistake. And there's no way he can make this up to the husband. Try as he might. Repent from the sin, but the husband will hold it. These verses, Solomon taught his son long ago. He was trying to point out the long-term results. What's going to happen if you do this? How's it going to affect your life? And he wanted his son to know how dangerous it could be on him and on the woman and her husband. It's not a sin that affects one person. There's others involved. I can't help but think that these verses had a special meaning to Solomon. Solomon's dad and mother took part in one of these things. We know that King David saw his mother while he was alone on a rooftop bathing. Had it brought to him and slept with her. We don't necessarily know the times may have been different. I mean, I don't know if a woman could even refuse a king back in those days. I mean, it could cost you your life. But David sinned against God, and he took this woman. He got her pregnant. He ended up having to kill her husband to cover up the crime. And then God called him on it. Nathan came and said, he gave him this little story about a man with one sheep and a poor man and a rich man. But he couldn't connect himself to the sin until Nathan. And then he fell before God and repented. Solomon didn't even take this advice to heart. He had 700 wives. He figured a way around the law. He said, I'm not going to be an adulterer. I'm just going to marry 700 of them and have 300 concubines. That was his downfall as well, because eventually he turned to other gods. He turned and sinned against God himself. I think no matter how wise we are, no matter how wise we think we are, the end result's always the same. We step out into faith and we do good things, and then we fall backwards. And then we step out in faith and we do good things, and then we fall backwards. Solomon was considered the wisest man ever, and yet he did some of the dumbest things you can do. He tried to rewrite God's law. I mean, by 700 wives, it's not in there. The law of Moses is pretty specific. I can't get over that sometimes. So I think if it was something I was going to leave you, what about today in this culture? How does that affect us? I mean, if you look around you in this world, there's so many ways you can be guilty of adultery. the internet, dangerous for men, without a doubt. I mean, I've heard stories about even pastors that are struggling mightily with stuff that they wouldn't have had to struggle without the internet. There's, I don't know, could we stretch it into lifestyles and other things? This was a tough one for me. I can't help but believe we're all guilty of it when we get distracted by other things. We get distracted by maybe our golf game, or we get distracted by whatever we're doing. Solomon talks about adultery. To me, it seems as though there's so many other things that could be just as adulterous, where we pile on this sin that is self-destructive. That's what I got for you today. I hope it was a blessing. I cannot believe how many people are on. This is amazing. Take care of yourself, guys. And if I can find my way out of here, I will play the end thing. And of course, I'm not, this is my strong suit here. Have a firmly rooted day. And may someone see Jesus in you.